Could Ohio State have made as much as $300 million in the 2024-2025 fiscal year had it not been a part of the Big Ten? Some think so based on a column in USA Today. Let's talk about what the number actually is following this record amount that Ohio State earned as members of the Big Ten. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. How do you feel about Ohio State potentially becoming an independent and earning as much as $300 million annually from its football budget and its basketball budget and all the revenue generating sources that normally come from being a member of a Power 4 conference like the Big Ten? This news kinda comes out after Matt Hayes wrote a column about just what kind of impact we could see in college football if we saw more deals like the one that Duke reportedly has with Amazon. Duke engaged in a business deal with Amazon where they're going to stream 3 of their games for an enormous fee, right? That the games that are going to be streamed are also in dispute because, there are television rights holders that believe they have rights to those games because of where they take place. For those of you that are unfamiliar, the SEC has granted rights to ESPN. And when we talk about SEC teams versus Big Ten teams, we talk about Fox Sports having first-tier rights, right, for the Big Ten properties. What usually happens here is if the contest is happening at a Big Ten stadium, Fox usually has the game. If the contest is happening at an SEC stadium, Disney, ESPN usually has the game. What makes the Duke arrangement interesting is that there's a Michigan game on that schedule that might actually just be a Michigan home game, in which case Fox would have the rights to that. So what kind of deal are you drawing up? But it led people to ask the question, what if Ohio State was to engage in some sort of deal that would allow it to be the sole reaper of the financial windfall that would come from how good or bad it is at playing football? And that Hayes postulated that it could be 3 times as much as the $91 million that they made as a member of the Big Ten. I did this segment where we talked about the Big Ten distributing $1.37 billion. And yes, I made the mistake of saying $370,000 as opposed to $370 million. And that's a big chunk of change. My bad. The point here stands, though. One of these is what we can prove on paper. The other one is not what actually is known that Ohio State could make. It's what's postulated. It's a column. It's an opinion. That's the part that I really wanted to lay out here. It's not to say that Hayes is wrong. It's to say that we got no way of proving this hypothesis, but it is, again, a good column in that it's generating the kind of discussion that you want to see, and that's what good columnists do. I'm a national college football columnist at Fox Sports. Many of the topics that I take on are good discussion, right? But I'm also very plain about how this is not fact. It's what I think could happen. But we also kind of know where Ohio State stands on this because they had an opportunity. They've had many opportunities to break away from the Big Ten. But even when Gene Smith was athletic director and COVID had happened, we had Nebraska talking about we'll leave the Big Ten and just play on our own if that's what it takes because they're not going to let us play ball when Kevin Warren was Big Ten commissioner. Ohio State could have just have said, yeah, we'll leave the Big Ten and we'll put together our own schedule, and the networks would turn down nothing but their collars because one of the best and most engaging fan bases in all of college football is Ohio State. It's good business, right? But it is also good business for the Buckeyes to remain Big Ten members. One, they're founding members of the Big Ten. It's 4 founding members: Michigan, Ohio State, Illinois, and Chicago. If memory serves correctly, right? What makes this interesting from our vantage point is I would argue that the Big Ten not only helps Ohio State be Ohio State, handling a lot of the business that you probably wouldn't want to handle by yourself, but also it's the reason that the league has so much sway in college football now is they're part of the league. Like, you are not new to the show. You know that I'm bagging on Notre Dame because Notre Dame operates like a GDI in a land full of fraternities. Pledge. Why do we let them be a part of what it is we're building if they won't even pledge a house, dog? And yet, if you paid attention to the memorandum of understanding for the 2026 college football playoff, If Notre Dame ranks inside the top 12, they automatically get a bid to the playoff, which is not true for any other program because they're all members of a conference. We have allowed Notre Dame to operate in a way that I think is not good for the sport. When people talk about the 2014 playoff, they think of it as bad when more people are coming on board with saying, A, this is the easiest way to grow the pie for everybody. B, you get more teams involved. And C, we want to see more football played. And we've got the AFCA coaches coming out and saying, look, we want a 2014 playoff. We'd also like the playoff to finish before the second week of January. I think both of those things are possible. You're going to devalue the regular season. Not as long as you still got Akron and Grambling on the schedule. No, we're not. Take those off the schedule. And if you want the regular season to mean something, just play your 10 conference games or your 9 conference games. Nobody says you have to play this many games. We went to 12 games in 2006. It wasn't that long ago. You could just as easily go back to, no, we'll play one non-conference game, make it a marquee matchup, and then play your conference schedule. What happens, though, is coaches want to pad the non-conference with 1 or 2 wins that guarantee them an opportunity to get to 7, 8, 9 wins with no muss, no fuss. Mike Gundy was the king of doing this at Oklahoma State. He scheduled these crappy teams like Savannah State, and they'd inflate themselves to 10 wins, right? That's one of the reasons we're going at the SEC's neck about a 9-game conference schedule. As this relates to Ohio State, I also think it's a bad look to pull away from the Big Ten. One of the reasons I think this is a bad look is Ohio State has been a stand-in for all the things that are good about college football. Name, image, likeness comes along and said, cool, bet. We'll fold it in. It doesn't matter. We're here to win. They changed the Big Ten format for how they pick a champion, from leaders and legends to divisions. Now we don't do that. They said, fine, we don't care. 2014 college football playoff comes along. They said, fine, we don't care. We'll find a way. We lose to Virginia Tech, doesn't matter. We still play for the national championship and win it. Every hurdle that's been put in the way of other great college football teams, Ohio State has met and said, oh, we'll handle it. And I think them being a big part of the Big Ten has also helped the Big Ten measure up in this way, because nobody in that league looks at Ohio State and says they're getting something they shouldn't. Nobody. Everybody in the Big Ten believes Ohio State is getting as much as it should, even Michigan, right? Where we got a problem is when we start talking about what they could do on their own. And if you're an Ohio State fan, do you really want to see your schedule laid up with, let's say, Alabama, Texas, Michigan, and a who's who Clemson of Power 4 conference opponents? Maybe if you're barnstorming, but that's not really how we built the sport. We built the sports around leagues. That Notre Dame gets to operate like it does, I think it's going to come to an end sooner rather than later, because somebody is going to get tired of them acting this way and getting to go around making up rules that only benefit them. Ohio State could make $300 million as an independent, but that's never been what they're about, because there are already ways for them to make a boatload of money. They see the strength in the collective. And frankly, I like seeing them in the Big Ten. I like seeing the SEC champion get bounced by Indiana. Big Ten champion who did it over Ohio State's dead body. One of the reasons you get to claim this is because Ohio State is a member, and I don't think that's going to change.